Hey footy fans, welcome to Webb Oval. We did have a 2:30 scheduled start, but looks like we're not far from starting a few minutes early. My name's Phil Hurd and welcome to the BTR Excavations Division 1 game between the Rams of Glenunga and Rostrevor Old Collegians. A massive match for both sides, probably in particular for the Glenunga Rams. 4-6, they gave the rest of the competition a bit of a head start with a 1-5 commencement to their season, but they've won 3 of their last 4 and they're on the back of the pack. And Rostrevor Old Collegians are in the pack, fighting for a final 5 spot. They're at 6-4. Both teams coming off a pretty good win. Glenunga at Park 9 against Prince Alfred last week by 31 points. Rostrevor by 69 points, their biggest win and highest score at home against Payneham Norwood Union. A later start, this is senior Indigenous round here. We've got the Bs, the As and the women's side for Glenunga wearing a special Indigenous design jersey, Guernsey. And if I did hear right, it was Ben Davis, brother of Abe Davis, who's going to play a key role today, who designed that. Some earlier results in the C grade. Rocks sitting 5th at 6-4, beat Glenunga 8th at 2-8. That result, a 62-point win to Rocks. 14-10-94, Glenunga 4-8-32. And in the Bs that finished probably about 25 minutes ago, it was Glenunga getting the points there. So they go to 6-5. Rocks dropping to 2-9 in 9th spot. Glenunga 9-8-62, Rocks 7-8-50. Pretty competitive game. I want to thank the sponsors, which include Archie, custom by RTC, High-5E bike, Starfish, programs to fit classic clashes of the contest. Jason Hayes and Matt Harris, the presiding field umpires, as it's Rocks who'll get the first clearance inside 50, but mark taken by Zach Smith. Glenunga won the toss, chose to kick to the southern end, where I think there is a slight breeze advantage, or at least that's the way the banners around the ground are pointing. So down the wing we come. Spills off hands, transfer Butterworth, little bouncing kick back to Butterworth, hand pass intercepted by Fay, some quick hands through Calavasitas, and we're inside 50 courtesy of Marini, and that's out of bounds, will be a throw in. It's on the full, and will be Rock's ball. From the school pocket, looking in the Butterworth direction. It's Rocks on the run. Will Mead into the centre square with a bit of dash towards a fairly open forward line. Good clunk. Taken at the 50-metre arc by Tom McCormick. In no real rush to progress it. He believes he can get the distance from here. The 50-metre arc in the gold, red and black traditional Indigenous colours. We did have a welcome to country and smoking ceremony involving the Bs and As of both clubs. We've got federal and state politicians here today, and so a big match, pretty important for both teams' season as we head to round 11. McCormick from 51, straight in front, straight over the goal umpire's hat. And McCormick kicks his 18th goal of the season, kicked 4 last week. The former Sturt Reserves player and Harndorf Magpie. And Rocks are on the board. The conditions, well, just the Adelaide temperature, officially 15.8 at first bounce with a little bit of wind chill, down to feels like 12.2. The breeze coming from the west-northwest, so blowing pretty much from the city down towards Glen Osmond in many ways, favouring the end that Glenunga are kicking to. They did win the toss, 19 kilometres an hour, gusts about 24. And it will be the Rams to get the next clearance. That was courtesy of Brooks, and we've got a mark taken at the 50-metre arc. This is Jordan Opperman. One of their best last week, one of a handful of Rams to have played every game so far. Kick 2 last week. This to look to be the quick reply. Got to deal with a little bit of a cross breeze, but we'll get some benefit of it. High kick. It's going to be a big fly marked by Wangi. He marked it mere centimetres off the ground, but sort of got up a reasonable amount before descent. Marked outside the goal square, so he's pretty much lined up on the behind line. Should be at a goal if he can think it through correctly. Plenty of Rocks players to the side to make sure he doesn't swing around. Wanky goes the banana and misses. A lot of chanting and cheering that's subdued pretty quickly. So one straight to Rocks, one behind to Glenunga. That's on the Kieran Yaketsu scoreboard. If you've just joined us, you've missed maybe the first 4 minutes of the contest. So that's a long kick out of defence. So even though into the breeze, it can still go a fair way. Little toe poke ends up with Parsons. Parsons to West, who no one would go to. And in the end, that's holding the ball on Brooks. Wearing the long sleeves today. I think he's the only one. I don't see a Rocks player in the long sleeves. They have the ball. Natrinsky, kick to Lanzoni. He'll take the mark. So we're about to see some of our first interchanges of the game. Can't miss them from our viewpoint here. As Eli Redmond takes the place of Thomas Kalavasidis. Coming on as well, Murata, and also Jet Boxer. Bo Baldwin has to wait a little while. He's on, as is Hugh De Silva. Crikey. More changes at Grand Central Station. But it's always on Lanzoni now. From the 50-metre arc, sprays it to the right. It's going to miss absolutely everything. Out of bounds on the full. So 5 minutes into the contest. Big one for both sides. Both have been in, well, good form last week, coming off wins. Temme runs off the opponent, got the shepherd needed. Now it's a big pack on the Lestrange terrace wing, and that's Jordan West. You're fascinated to watch the combination of West and Davis today, two former Sandford players. Kicked a great goal last year that's on our intro for the game of the week. Glenunga have moved it forward, but not too far forward, marked by Murata, who goes back for Rocks to go forward. Flirting with that boundary line, West comes in to get a tap, but it is going to be Rocks advancing it momentarily. Courtesy of shoot, and will be a throw in. We did have some loudspeakers that kind of similarly worked for the Welcome to Country. Looks like they've been borrowed by the B-grade boys by Glenunga. Now pumping out some beats. So a bit of a different footy atmosphere. The tap to Davis, to Brooks. It's in the B-grade pocket, which is the southeastern pocket here. Rostrevor ball. I'll work it through some hands. Murata and Mead, two of those involved. Now it's with Best. He's semi-tackled, got the hand pass away. They're going to dash through the middle. Rostrevor Old Collegians looking for the open forward line and the mark taken by a late inclusion in Jake Silvac. Kicked 2 goals in the Rezzies last week. In fact, this is his first league game since the 2023 first semi-final. Last season, 11 games, 14 goals in the reserves. This season, 8 games, 9 goals in the Rezzies. Initially, Michaelani was named in the lineup, Jack Michaelani, but it is Silvac looking to make an early impression in the A's for the first time in a long time. From 45, nails it. His first at A-grade level since 2023. And the early goals go the way of the visitors. Rocks are 2 straight. Glenunga are 1 behind. An 11-point lead. And that's on the Kieran Hyoketsu scoreboard. Now, there are some other games that are occurring. And they've all got off to an earlier start. So we will be the last ones to finish today. Well, in theory, we are the last ones to finish. But I can tell you that there's been a couple of teams that have broken it open early. Can tell you Salisbury North lead Payneham Norwood Union by 20 points. Port District lead with Sacred Heart in a top 3 battle by 20 points. Golden Grove leaves St. Peter's by 19 at Harpers Field. That's a surprise. And Prince Alfred lead Broadview 10-2. Those scores are probably towards time on of the first quarter. Back to Webb Oval, where Rocks got the clearance, have progressed the ball a little bit. Of course, this is the second meeting. They met at the Chateau at Campbelltown, where on April 26, Anzac Day long weekend, and it was a amazing game. Rocks led most of the day. Glenunga kicked 3 goals to 1 in the last quarter and emerged victorious by 1 point. I believe Rocks had a kick on or around the final siren that did not score or did not goal. It was that close. Rocks off to a flyer of a start, but have lost a couple of games in recent times to Golden Grove and Port District. Took their anger out against Payneham last week. As that soccer kick is dead set straight to West. West will kick it towards the commentary spot. Spot up Nicholas Egar, captain. Egar was best for the victorious Rams the last time these two met. His kick looking for Pridham. Pridham won a 3-ins today along with James Dragakis and Sam Brooks. Out of the Glenunga side, Aidan Avery, Thomas Montgomery and Thomas Michaelani. Not a good week to be Thomas for Glenunga. So 3 changes for the Rams, 1 for Rocks I'll give you in a sec. As we mentioned that Silvac, who's a goal scorer, was the in. Thomas O'Malley, the veteran, was the out. Looks like Rocks are doing their interchanges as trios so far. They're about to go for their second set. Ready to head on Lim, Kemp, and on now Transfer. Comes on for Wharton. Also coming off Josh Shute, 1 to go. I think I'll be calling interchanges as much as positions, but they are right in front of us. As you're with Sammy on camera, Phil on commentary. The kick forward. Rocks defence holding pretty well, but a nice tackle led by Pridham by the boundary line. Holding the ball is the call. And this will be a shot from goal from a tight angle for Charlie Pridham. Now it's Glenunga's turn to ring the changes. This is quite a good filler when there's a break in play. Thompson on. Should mention Thompson, better get this right. Butterworth and Wonky. Games 100 today. There's Pridham, Let the breeze take it around. So Glenunga are on the board. Pridham's first. Didn't play last week. That's his second for the season, having played 9 games. Pridham spent a bit of time in the Westies and Glenelg system. Goodwood Saints and Plimpton, his junior clubs. And he gets the first for the Rams. So Kieran Hyoketsu scoreboard. Glenunga 1-1-7. Rocks, the visitors, still leading though, 2 straight 12. And we've gone around about 12 minutes of the first quarter on what's a cool, and the wind is starting to strengthen up a little bit. was at an earlier game at Norwood Oval, which is not far from here, and the wind was pretty negligent in the morning. Bit stronger now. Rox's kick, courtesy of Lanzoni, has found a target. That's Murata, who's bit slow getting up. Oh, he just had to put the mouth guard in his sock. Okay, as you do. Considers himself in range, turns his back on the goal. Every time I commentate with a coach, they always make mention they don't like that. Always should be facing the goals, but see it most times these days. Elliot Murata has not kicked a goal at A-grade level for Rostrevor Old Collegians. And he misses to the right-hand side. Kicked 10 last season in the Rezzies and 1 this season in 4 reserves games. So Glenunga wastes no time. The pack fly is pretty much on centre wing. Matrinsky with the clean pick-up to Stepik, whose kick is turned over. Now it's a loose footy. Charging onto it is Darcy Best. He spots up Demetrius and rocks ball on the half-back flank on the Lestrange Terrace side of this ground. Covington Street to the west, Lestrange Terrace to the east. As the kick in by Glenunga finds Abe Davis. You cannot leave Abe with that much space. He puts his back to the goals. Might have to do a back-to-goal count on set shots today. But Phil Lewis, I've just given him a heart attack. So, what do we got? Lewis, Davis, certainly in range. Kick will be about 20 metres. Sort of kicking into the breeze, sort of going 90 degrees from what he's kicking. So, might need to take a lift out of Charlie Pridham's book and kick it out to the far goal post and let the breeze bring it in. That's the theory. The reality, Abe Davis, goal kicker extraordinaire, goal number 18 for season 2025, having kicked 42 last season. Originally from the Saints of Maroubra on the Sydney beaches, via the Sydney Swans, South Adelaide, Sturt, and keeping in the double blue colours with Glenunga. So with that kick, we've got a tied footy game, 2-1-13 to 2-1-13. 15 and a half gone in the first quarter. Expecting this to be a close one between these two. Their first one, as mentioned, couldn't get much closer without winning. And hot footy in the middle, which is cleared out by Marini. He's got a couple of those today. Little fumble by Demetrius could prove catastrophic. They do escape with it for the moment. Do you like the fact that Rostrevor pretty much are trying to centre it? West is there. West versus Lanzoni. The win to Lanzoni. The beautiful soccer kick off the ground puts Rams' defence under pressure. They're up for the task, although the kick untouched out of bounds by the various sponsor banners. And so I've got, there is a Rocks player with the ball. I cannot see who it is. And this is where I've got to see through about 5 people, which is going to be tricky to call, but it is a Rostrevor free kick. Oh my goodness. Okay. Silvac with the ball. So this free kick, he's going to get the shot on goal. I just realised I've got a wireless mic, so I can move around, which I might do. The kick's going to be 20 metres, 25 at most. Angle's what you got to deal with in a bit of a cross breeze. Aim left. You can see the swing on that. Oh my goodness. I wonder if he used the Duke cricket ball. There was that much swing on it. And that's a miss. Not sure if that was a bit of a shank, a breeze, or a bit of both. Glenunga bring it out. Sammy Brooks has had a stack of touches today. Of course, we will have the player of the game, Archie's footwear, and $50 voucher for one of our great hotels. Glenunga go forward. Waiting at the front was Bennett.
Come on, Tim.
Sends it to an open forward line. Temmie's going to lead the race to the ball. Needs it to sit. Demetrius in pursuit. Great solo tackle.
Are you kidding me?
Holding the ball is the call. Not sure the B-grade boys in the pocket there would be in full agreement, but Rocks have it. Murata. You can see the ball's held up in that breeze. But good read and pick up by Charles Kemp. Kemp goes into the scoreboard pocket. Plenty of people around the ground here, including a couple of marquees and rugs, blankets. It is getting colder by the moment here, I should add. There was a free that went Glenunga's way, unsure, and that was a tap out by Matthew Datrinsky. Should just about be quarter time around the Adelaide Footy League in the other games, given we are at the 19-minute mark and we started 15 late. It's Salisbury North 6-4-40, Payneham 1-1-7. Port District at Country Living Homes Reserve at Largs 4-5-29, Sacred Heart 1 point. I'll give you other scores in a sec. But they're kicking towards the Wonky. Oh, beautifully intercepted and gold. Hugh De Silva, a thief in the night, intercepts. And just like that, the Rams, having conceded the first 2 goals, have kicked the last 3 and take the lead at Webb Oval. Those other games, Golden Grove 5-4-34, St Peter's Old Collegians 1-5-11, and Prince Alfred Old Collegians on an 8-game losing streak, 3-4-22. Broadview have not won any of their 10 games this season, 2 behinds, 20-point lead to the Redmen at home. So certainly we've got the late one. We've also got the close one. 5 points the difference in favour of the Rams, who have the clearance courtesy of Brooks. He's had quite a few of those today. Great pick up by Ethan Smith. He shows some dash. He takes a bounce in front of the fan club. They salute. 2 in a minute to Glenunga. That may well be a contender for the Jag Meatworks goal of the week. The pickup and the finish was sublime. And just like that, the Rams in front by 7 points for mine. The Kirini Okitsu scoreboard is 11 points. Kirini Okitsu scoreboard's going for a little bit of maintenance. Yep, 4-1-25, 2-2-14. That is 11 points. Back in the middle, been a good 5 minutes for Glenunga. But it's a Rocks clearance. James Wharton puts her high. The fly from Boxer brings it to ground. Tregarkis' kick is almost picked up by Baldwin as a touch of the fumbles. Spills out of bounds, almost onto Lestrange Terrace. Interesting ground here at Webb Oval. It's reasonably narrow for mine and not particularly the longest ground. You will see plenty of kick-ins get inside the centre square. Of course, Glenunga International High School use this as the school oval, and it's a community club. We've got a soccer pitch on the other side of the club rooms. The club room's used by Glenunga Rams Footy Club, Eastern District's Little Athletics. The soccer club name escapes me for the moment, and the Glenunga Cricket Club. Plus hundreds of students during the course, and I think there's also a kindergarten at one of the pockets here as well. But anyway, in front of the scoreboard, 2 giants, West and Butterworth, do battle. Someone's throwing around another football, which is confusing. It's still in the field of play. It's at about centre half forward. Showing some good dash, Zach Smith. They've got a bit of run here, the Rams, trying to go coast to coast. Charlie Pridham decided to go out, then he decides to go in. Abe Davis sets. 1, 2, 3, takes the mark. And the little tumble and roll. This is the Glenunga of 2023-2024 watching at the moment. As just to remember, we've got 2 Butterworths today. James for Rocks is coming off. Abe Davis. Well, biggest lead for mine was 11 points by Rocks, having kicked the opening 2 goals. Davis is taking a fair while with the shot, but take all the time you want if you're going to kick him straight. Davis has 2. Glenunga have 5. 5-1-31. Rocks are 2-2-14. They've kicked 5 unanswered goals after Rostrevor Collegians got the first 2. 23-minute mark. Yeah. So Glenunga have, after their opening goals, have kicked 2 behinds, and the last 3 scoring shots have been Glenunga goals. It's important where they have the opportunities to convert, and they have. That Smith taken high is the theory that is, and both players taking a little while to get up. Charles Kemp was the tackler. Ethan Smith, where is the 50? Just trying to pick out, I think I can see a 50-metre arc there. He'll kick from just inside it, pretty much the breeze at his back. Ethan's, yeah, so play on the mark, which was Kemp, about 45 out. Smith has kicked 1 goal already. 1 goal the last time they met. Got to start left, swing it right. That is exactly what he does. It's been a goal-kicking masterclass by Glenunga in the last 15 minutes. That's 4 straight goals without a score by Rostrevor. And just like that, Kieran Hiok gets your scoreboard. And they're keeping the scoreboard operator pretty busy here. That is 6-1-37 to 2-2-14. A bit of a buffer, game-high 23-point lead to the hosts. Of course, they have had the breeze, and it is got a reasonable bit of bite to it. So let's reserve judgment here until Rocks have had a turn to bat, so to speak. But it is another clearance as Butterworth is off for the Rocks. The kick in by Fay is marked in defence. Moving around the outer side, looking for Lim, who managed to keep his poise. Kick it down that outer side. They managed to keep it in play, but it will be a stoppage. 26 minutes gone, quarter time imminent. In fact, okay, not sure what happened there. It was a stoppage. Now it's a free kick. That's a wobbler, but it's an accurate one. That's quite the mark. Daniel Thompson's taken it. Now he's thinking he can kick it. Yeah. It's going to be an outside 50 shot because the man on the mark is at 50. You wouldn't think at the other end it was a gettable goal. As the siren goes, and after siren shot, puts it up, lets the breeze do some work, but needed a bit of a stronger breeze. No score, but a fantastic second half to that first quarter by the host. It is quarter time here. Glenunga are 6-1, that's 37. Rocks are 2-2-14. We will take a quick break, then we'll get Phil Lewis in to give us some stats from that first quarter, and I'll get some scores from around the Beta Excavations Division 1. You're watching the Adelaide Footy League, thanks to filming footy. Welcome back. Webb Oval is the scene for your BTR Excavations game broadcast. Thanks to filming footy, and it is the hosts doing it on the bid at the moment. 6-1-37, Rocks 2-2-14. That margin 23 points. Well, I can give you some of the goal scorers and stats, but we've got Phil Lewis here who's volunteered to give us some live stats for the afternoon, which means you get a break from my voice for a couple of minutes. Phil, what have you come up with from that first quarter that I'm going to suggest ended up being dominated by Glenunga?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the stats, with the exception of one, don't really bear that out. The one thing that Glenunga have been dominating in this first quarter is the centre break, 6-2, with one. When I take these stats, when we get a field bounce straight away after the centre bounce, I don't actually count that as a centre break for either team. But that's still pretty dominant out of the middle for Glenunga. But it's not reflecting on the inside 50s. Glenunga are up, but it's only 13-10. So Rostrevor are getting it down there. The free kicks, 7-4. I think a lot of Glenunga's free kicks were late in the quarter. Probably reflects on the fact that they were bringing the ball forward and being as effective as they were. And as you said, Phil, the last 4 goals straight without a score from Rostrevor were by Glenunga, and 3 of them were in red time as well. That's a bit of a worry for the Rocks.
Do you have a general clearance or stoppage stat at all?
No, unfortunately, I've only got so many fingers, unfortunately. That's why I had the heart attack when you made that comment about the, whatever it was you call it, the...
Oh, the put you back to the goal stat.
Yeah, that's the one.
That was a little bit facetious of me.
I'm
sorry, I should have checked your medical status before doing such things. Some scores around the grounds, and they are 15 minutes advanced, so these would be into the second quarter now. Salisbury North lead Payneham by 40 points. Salisbury North, after a couple of losses in succession, want to get back on board, and looks like this Paynham's chances of finals are getting extinguished pretty quickly. Salisbury North 8-5-53 Paynham. This is at home 2-1-13. Up at Port District, the Ditters 5-6-36 Sacred Heart 1 behind, 35-point lead to Ditters. And the winner of that's going to have a share of top spot and could be outright top, because St. Peter's is trailing Golden Grove by 20 points at Harpers Field, 5-4-34 to 1-8-14. And the game between two strugglers, with one going to win, well, it might well be Prince Alfred. They've got an early break, 7-4-46 Broadview. Even thinking this might be the chance for them to sneak that first win. Well, they trail by 37 points, 1-3-9. The umpires for today, Jason Hayes and Matt Harris. Field umpires, Michael Pilnitz and Guido Porcaro. The boundary umpires, Jonathan Owen and Chris May. And Phil, any final thoughts before we de-mic you?
No, well, I think it's about time we went, because we're about to start the second quarter.
Second quarter, here we come, thanks to filming footy. Butterworth, the tap. Let's see what Rocks can do with the breeze. Faye got first touch to it and was brought to ground. Okay, ball sits now, Demetrius to Dawson, back through to Best. Now they'll go forward with a high kick. Front square, where the red and black. In fact, there's 2 Rocks players. One slowly. In fact, there's a couple of Rocks players down. There were 3 downs at different places. We need 2 commentators to keep an eye on the injury. But right now, Dawson kicks on the outside of the boot. Yeah, and it works. Picks up limb. Brings it, looks for Wharton. Bit of a soccer. It's getting a bit creative here at the moment. West onto Brooks. Quick play on. Lanzoni, one hand outstretched, takes the mark. Nicely done to Stefan Lanzoni. Now the captain of the old Collegians, having been once the captain of Rostrevor College. This to snap a 4-goal unanswered streak. So at the moment, 6 of the 8 goals kicked to the southern end. That Lanzoni is going to take the shot from 40. Needed that. He got 7 goals last week, Stefan Lanzoni, as Rocks feasted on Paynham. He's got his first this afternoon. The goal scorers, by the way, are Lanzoni, Silvac and McCormick for Rostrevor Old Collegians. Pridham, Desira, the single goal scorers for Glenunga, with Ethan Smith and Abe Davis leading the way with 2 goals each. Kieran Kyoketsu's scoreboard margin back to 17. Glenunga 6-1-37. Rostrevor Old Collegians 3-2-20. Upper throws it up back in the middle. West the tap this time. I think that was West with the tap. It went the way of Rocks, but what do we got here? We got free kick to Wharton. Ball taking a little while to get back to him. Hands for the hot spot. Good lead, good grab, great footy. And there's Finn Wakeland. I was waiting for the Finn Wakeland show to start today. Goalless last week, but named one of the best players. 40 goals last season. He's already picked up a couple of pairs of Archies and some hotel vouchers, so might be one of the most popular lads going around at Rostrevor Old Collegians. This for 2 in a minute. Again, start right, swing left is the way it should go. Starts in the middle and, yeah, I'll tell you what, I think they've worked it out. Aim for the goal umpire and put it right over the top of him. Seen that plenty of times. Wakeland has his first. Rocks 2 in a row. So they kicked the opening 2 goals of the first quarter, the opening 2 goals of the second. In between that, Glenunga kicked 6. And right now the margin is at 11 points, 6-1-37, 4-2-26 in favour of the hometown Rams. Glenunga did win the toss, kicking to the school or southern end in the first quarter. Right now it's Rocks kicking that way, Glenunga to the clubhouse end. Well, and you've got to give to Butterworth, who can run onto it. Firstly, it's Kemp. Secondary stoppage. If you just joined us, earlier it was Rocks in the C's by 62 points, Glenunga and the B's by 12 points, and the B's of Glenunga are still playing that doof stuff in the pocket, which they've turned the volume down a little bit, thankfully. Will Mead from the centre wing. That's a really high kick above the tree line. And out of bounds, touch will be a throw in. Chance to take a little breather. As we collect the football and go again. West, Butterworth. Little tap to West to no advantage in particular. Umpire circling like he wants to call holding the ball. I've seen that lots of times. Lim the infringer. I guess deemed to have not made sufficient attempt to get rid of it. Glenunga's kick off some hands. Oh, very quick pick up onto Fay. Fay is into that scoreboard pocket, only as far as Stepic. Stepic, I think that's Wharton. In front of the scoreboard marquee. which I assume is a group of Glenunga fans. That's a long kick. Ends up with Marini, who's held on to. So between the edge of the centre square and the 50-metre arc for Rostrevor, that's a big thump by the red and black. It's almost made it to the goal square, that thump. Not really wanting to take possession of it was Slavic. That's a kick, and that's touched. Not sure who got the kick away there, but...
It was Ryan Lim.
We'll give it to Lim. So that's the first behind in a while. Rocks 4-3-27, Glenunga 6-1-37, 10 points the margin on the Kieran Hyoketsu scoreboard. Good grab taken on the far side by Wanky, finds a teammate further upfield. Goes back. 2 go forward, not 100% sure what they've gained here, but it's with Thompson. Thompson's kicked down that wing. And it's Mead making sure that Samuel Brooks is not going to escape and put Glenunga inside forward 50. Transfer. And pass back, I think, to Mead, now to Lim. True centre wing position, sends it forward. Looking for McCormick, but Marini puts a thump to it. And I think I've got to make a slight adjustment. I've been calling Brooks as Marini as Brooks. I do apologise. A late number change. And I think I've just realised I've written it up in a confusing manner. I think it's Marini in the long sleeves wearing 32 and Brooks wearing 17. Try and get that right for the rest of the game. As it's into the middle, bit of space for Connor Butcher to wait for some support. Looking for Wakeland, who was interfered with. Kick forward by Joshua Shute. As we've got the trio of changes coming for Rock. How we got? Oh my goodness, this 12 players interchanging at the moment. Wakeland's going to go back. He's going to kick from inside 50. 45-degree angle, maybe a tiny bit less than that. Reckon just inside the right goalpost is where I'd be going. Breeze to take it across. With the music as the background. Started right, certainly swung left, glad he did. Beautifully positioned. Wakeland has 2. Glenunga have kicked 3 without reply, and the margin's back to 4 points. Kieran Yokitsu scoreboard 5-3-27, Glenunga 6-1-37. We have definitely got the close one here at Webb Oval this afternoon. You know, with Sammy on camera, Phil Hurden on microphone, we've got Phil Lewis on some stats, which we'll update you at the halftime break. Around the grounds, Salisbury North by 8 goals over Paynham. Port District by 34 points over Sacred Heart. Golden Grove by 12 over Spock, so Spock getting back into it. And Prince Alfred, who've lost their last 8 games, lead Broadview by 63 points. Butterworth will give him the tap. Another Rocks clearance. Now it's a pursuit. All about keeping poise and your feet if you go to ground by that boundary line, where I think it's going to be a ball up as opposed to a ball in. It is. Field umpire bringing the ball back into the field to play a little bit. Wakeland playing ruck, trying to play rover, couldn't quite bring it in. Hand pass into some space and out of bounds. That was Trigakis, who's one of the 3 ins for Glenunga this afternoon, taking it out of bounds. Fair bit of congestion, not much movement, another stoppage. This quarter, Glenunga have not added to their quarter time score, and they've barely had it their side of centre. It's been either at Rock's half of the ground or on the centre wing on the outer side. About the fourth, this would be a throw in. The view slightly blocked by three Rocks players wanting to interchange back on in Transfer, Lim and Kemp. And you're probably getting a slightly better view of it than I am at the moment, maybe. Butterworth for Kemp. Kemp on, Butterworth off. 4 Rocks. Real tough footy at the moment. In the game that swung from all Rocks early to all Glenunga for most of the first quarter to all Rocks currently. Glenunga trying to stop the flow of goals. I'll kick it down the far side. Kemp just came on, good grab in the middle of about a 5-person pack. What have we got here? We've got a blood rule. Transfer on with the... Okay. Bit of blood on the leg. Hey! Not much on the right-hand side except Bandry. I'll go to the left, and all he saw was red and black. Kick smothered, throw in. So it's been in this pocket for about the last 3 minutes. West tries to grab it out the pack, matched up against Boxer. Trying to make some hay whilst Butterworth is on the pine. The tap only as far as Butcher, who's tackled and holding the ball, Glenunga ball. Long penetrating kick. Called touched off the boot. Hand pass misses. Transfers to play defender and lay the tackle on Tammy without. Transfer has it. Right between the Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander flags. In the end, a very easy uncontested mark. I don't know if everybody misread it a little bit. In the end, no need to fly, just to grab for Jet Boxer. Boxer a goal last week, 9 for the season. Initially from Marble Range, part of Norwood's country zone, did play reserves and under-18s footy for the Redlegs, as did quite a few wearing red and black this afternoon. We're right behind it. You're filming footy crew. Yeah. You aim it inside of that right goalpost. You cannot go wrong. Best has his first. And with that, I have a feeling that Rocks have taken the lead. They've gone to the lead by 2 points. 6-3-39. Glenunga 6-1-37. 15 minutes gone. This quarter, Rocks with the breeze. Did say we had to see them bat to get a gist of it. They've kicked 4 goals, 1. And Glenunga have kicked nothing but donuts in this second quarter. And I'm struggling to remember their last inside 50 to the left of screen, which, given we've got some VIPs down that end watching today, they'd probably like to see the football every so often. "25 metres given because the player with the ball did not give it back to the player with the free." That's one to be learnt. Eli Redmond with the run-up, with the high kick. They're still carrying a fair distance, touched on the line. Good news for Glenunga. They've got a score in this quarter. Bad news, it's just a minor. 6-2-38. Rocks, 6-3-39. Kieran Hyoketsu scoreboard. Transfer has it. Chance to weave some magic, although Gulliversidis in pursuit couldn't quite get him. Getting in the way of that one was Zach Smith, showing some courage. Be another 25. And in this ground, 20, possibly a short 25, I don't know. Smith puts it high there. Not sure it's the end you want to be kicking really high shots to today. Holding the ball the other way, Rocks will take it. As we see Brooks come on. The kick intended for Best out of his hands. Okay, Glenunga have worked it well. Pridham's kick needs a fly. A couple of Glenunga players sort of spoiled each other. And what do we got here? We got umpire's arms going everywhere. It is Rock's ball. They'll clear out, try and clear out a defence. 19 minutes gone. Darcy Best. So this breeze that seems to be doing wonders for team scores. Rocks will have another 8-9 minutes of it. They've got it centre wing, playing on pretty quickly as you can understand the logic. Jack Scott loses his opponent. Sends it back with a high kick into the breeze. It spills to Temi. Yeah, look at the high kicks. They're just all holding up in the breeze. Rock's keeping it a bit lower. Transfer in the middle. Has time and space to take a bounce and find Butcher. Connor Butcher. I was about to say not to give Rocks the lead but to extend it. It's 39-38 Rostrevor Old Collegians. This to give Rocks their biggest lead since the early stages of the first quarter. Butcher, 10 games, 5 times in the best players, yet to kick a goal. Well, he's kicked one now. Just like that, Connor Butcher, the former Kookaburra from Golden Grove, who made his Rocks debut last year. Just gives Rocks a little bit of a buffer, I guess, to use the cricket analogy. Both teams have had a bat, and Rocks trying to have a bit of a first innings lead with the final few minutes of this game. And to be honest, the difference in this contest at the moment is that Rocks kicked the opening 2 goals to the other end. They are the only 2 goals that have been kicked to the clubhouse. They haven't seen anything down that end goal-wise since about the 7-minute mark of the first quarter. Back in the middle. Might give that one to West, to Davis, who's met straight away. So they've moved Abe into the midfield for a while. And about 22 gone of the second quarter. It should be half-time around the league. We'll give you some scores there shortly, but I think we have the close one currently. As kind of expected, it is top 4 at the front. Too high is the tackle from DeMatteis. That's the judgment. And right now, really should let the player get the ball in Carlo Vasidis. Again, there's your high kick. Coming down almost vertically to a big pack. Charging onto it strongly was Zach Smith. He kicks it into the what do I want to call that? The kindergarten, the childcare, the kiddie playground pocket might be what I go with in the end. Good kick, spots up Beau Baldwin. So it is a 7-point margin. You'd back Rocks just to play on pretty quickly. Try and use what they can of this breeze. Out of bounds, throw in. Declan Fay is ready to come back on. So the throw-in is just going to be Rock's side of centre wing. Butterworth the tap. Another stoppage. As mentioned, should be half-time around the Adelaide Footy League. Transfer at 50, gets around his opponent. From 45 goes long, tapped in play and then ricocheted over the goal line for a behind. Margin now to 8 points. So assuming it's the half, it's Salisbury North 74-26. Port District 43-9. That's 1-3 for Sacred Heart. Prince Alfred 84-9. The other close one, Golden Grove 7-5-47, and inaccurate St. Peter's 4-10-34. Spock a bit more accuracy, probably should be in front. As Rox's kick finds a target. I think this is Jet Boxer. I just need him to turn a tiny bit more to confirm. Yes, it is. Boxer yet to kick a goal. Did have one to best. Boxer has his first. Set shot goal kicking has been sublime today. And with that, Rocks do have a buffer to take into the halftime break if they can maintain it. So, Will Glias has said we've got an extra behind for Rocks. So, 8-4, 52 to 6-2, 38 is what we're going to go with here. 14 points the margin in favour of the visitors. Rocks with a 6-4 record back in Division 1. Glenunga with a 4-6 record, having started the season 1-5. The Rams have it to Temi. They've kicked a total of one behind in this second quarter. Eli Redmond. Pounds it into the pocket. Smith is lurking, has to play defence in the end to lay a tackle on his Rocks opponent in Wakeland, who's playing a bit of defence at the moment. Another stoppage. Great quarter for Rocks. They've kicked 6 goals to 0. And they should get the clearance, although, yeah, they do get the clearance. Had that one extra player in Natrinsky to kick it to. Now it's an important footy to collect in the middle. Glenunga have numbers, I think, but can't keep the feet. And in the end, a push goes the way of Rocks. They'd leave one more before the big break. Lim going back. He's kept his feet. Taken high, yep. He's going to get a shot in kicking range. In fact, yeah, it is going to Ryan Lim. Liam has kicked 1 goal this season from Woodner and also Hectorville. He's outside the field of play. Comes inside the field of play. Across the face. Will it be a handy behind? We'll find out as this game progresses. But it is Rocks, 8-5.
Yeah,
So
they caught up.
they caught it. 8-5-53. Glenunga 6-2-38. 15 points the margin. 26 gone. Long kick to the outer side. As that music is still pumping. I wonder what the neighbours are thinking about the concert that's being put on. I guess we'll find out when the police van rocks up at some stage during the second half. Because that's the end of the first half. What a great contest. Both teams have had their moments. And both teams pretty accurate, especially with the set shots. It's Rocks 8-5-53, Glenunga 6-2-38 on the Kyunhyoketsu scoreboard. Some goal scorers, just checking mine out up to 8. Yep, 2 to Finn Wakeland. Singles to Lanzoni, Silvac, Butcher, McCormick, Best and Boxer. For Glenunga, they're 6 goalless in the second quarter. 2 to Smith, Ethan Smith and Abe Davis. Singles to Sierra and Charlie Pridham. We'll take a break. When we come back, about 10 minutes time, Phil Lewis will give us some stats. I'll check out what's happening in the third quarter around the BDR Excavations Division 1. And Sammy will continue to give you some wonderful pictures. You're watching the Adelaide Footy League, and it's all thanks to Filming Footy. Welcome back to Webb Oval. Entertaining game thus far. It is Rostrevor with a stellar second quarter. 8-5-53, leading Glenunga 6-2-38, 15 points the margin. It was Glenunga by 23 at the first break, so a big turnaround in that second quarter. Phil Hurden here giving you the commentary, helping with some stats. Phil Glewis. Phil, I'd assume the stats took a bit of a U-turn in that second period.
Well, certainly for a short period there in the second quarter when Rostrevor were pretty much dominating. At one point in that quarter, it was 9 inside 50s to 1. That's just how much they were dominating. Glenunga did get a few back, ended up in the second quarter 13-7 Rostrevor's way. The free kicks also went Rostrevor's way as well, 8-5. Of course, they also gave away those two 25-metre penalties. Centre breaks, there were a lot more field bounces off the centre bounce that quarter, and there were also a whole lot more ball-ups, which was reflective on Glenunga going totally defensive throughout that quarter and actually restricting Rostrevor to just the 6 goals that they kicked. They could have easily kicked a lot more had it not been for Glenunga's clogging up. But for the match, we've got free kicks are actually dead even. 12 each. Yeah. Inside 50s, 23-20, Rostrevor's way. That was the switch around. And the centre break, Glenunga is still up, 8-3, with 5 neutrals, as I call them. But, you look at it from the entire half standpoint, you would think it was dead even though you had that domination on the scoreboard, certainly in the second quarter from Rostrevor.
Well, it's 13 scoring shots to 8, which Glenunga very accurate in that first quarter, just the one behind in the second. If you have recently joined us, in the other grades earlier today, Rocks 14-10-94 beat Glenunga 4-8-32. That was a 62-point win in the C's, Glenunga going to 7-4. Rostrevor going to 7-4, Glenunga dropping to 2-9. Reversal of results in the B's, close contest, Glenunga 9-8-62. Defeating Rock 7-8-50.
Yeah, from what I saw of that game, that was a really good contest. That B grade game.
6th versus 9th. Glenunga go to 6-5. Rocks, hard to believe they only have the 2 wins, but they do. They're 2-9. Phil, any final stats as the teams start to make their way towards their starting positions for the third quarter?
Well, I guess the only thing that could be said was how much of an influence the wins going to have on the game, and if you would think that that it is going to continue to have an influence. Rostrevor are going to be on the defensive this quarter with Glenunga kicking with it. So it's going to be interesting to see how both sides play this particular quarter.
12 goals to 2 in terms of 12 goals with the win, 2 goals into it.
And the first 2 goals of the game as well.
The last,
the northern end.
The great point. The last 12 goals kicked to the southern end. That's something you don't see all that often, even on a windy day. It is getting colder. It will get darker before we're done. Phil, thank you for the stats. Look forward to getting those from you at three-quarter time. Third quarter about to get underway. And into the 2 Warriors, West and Butterworth. Doing Battle West this time with the tap. And we'll go again. That's a neutral situation, as Phil would describe it, I assume. Down to Marini, long kick, Rock's mark in front, important. They stretch, and it's with Darcy Best. In front of the cricket nets that we've got here. Of course, there is a Glenunga Cricket Club. They're mucking around with it a bit here, Glenunga, and they will get away with it momentarily. Grubber kick to transfer's got Kalavasudis on his hammer and tack. Wharton by the boundary. Does a beautiful 360 that eluded everybody. That was quite something. Now. To Silvac. They're working it well, Rocks. Towards that playground pocket. McCormick leading in the race for the ball, but the boundary line wins. What's happening around the beach excavations division? Well, the beauty of this game starting late, we might need some candlelight by the time we finish, but it does mean that we'll finish after the others. Should be able to give you a pretty good wrap of the round. Which looks like Salisbury North are back in town. They lead Payneham by 8 goals. Port District by 53. Golden Grove and St Peters, it's the Kookaburras at home by 20. That would be an upset. Prince Alfred over Broadview by 61. Of course, now into the third quarter. They're starting to look like some match-winning margins. We have got the closest one here at the moment. It's between Golden Grove Spock and this one, Glenunga and Rocks, is to the closest game of the round. Long kick by Glenunga, but Rocks' defence is marking what comes their way. Wharton's got the run of Jatrinsky and another player descended into the 50-metre arc. Probably lose their footing. Thompson didn't. High kick beautifully stopped at the feet of Opperman. Now the whistle's blown for something.
Kicking in danger.
Kicking in danger, okay. It's with Will Mead, if you couldn't tell from the call of Meady. To the 50. Parsons had it, was tackled before he could get a kick. Spills to Dawson, who's a right footer in the wrong pocket. But good kick to McCormick, who's in front of the barbecue, which I think might just about be done for the day. And this is going to be very difficult to kick. The breeze is not going to help. He's got to put a little bit of spin on the ball, I think. Very narrow sliver of life between the goalposts for him to try and aim for. He got it to curve, just a little late. That's the first score of the third quarter. It's a behind to the leaders, Rocks. Margin goes from 15 to 16. How long are we into the quarter? 3:48. Okay, thank you. That's the kick out almost to centre wing. Ethan Smith, clean pick up. Here's the runner, Pridham. Just the miss kick meant that Glenunga had to go back with Temi. Calavasitas provided the run support there. Davis, was he infringed? No, he was the infringer on that occasion. It could be. The inboard kick finds Dawson. Turn for Busy. Demetrius with a bounce. Comes back inboard. Taken late. Free downfield. And Rocks will be shooting for a goal to the non-scoring end. So, thanks to Phil Lewis for the stat that it was 8 minutes into the first quarter that we had our last goal to the clubhouse end. Kemp did kick a goal last week, was amongst the best. That was his sole goal for the season, originally hailing from the Tigers of Orange. From 50 and a right to the right. So Rocks are peppering. A goal to the left of screen would be huge. You would think if Rostrevor turned for home in front, it's going to take a mighty effort to defeat him. Ball with Glenunga. He went a fair way. In the end, his kick went through the hands of Swanbury, who's still battling for it at ground level. Butterworth eventually gets out of that congestion. Good vision. Spots up, shoot. Demetrius, although Jatrinsky is the one who sent it inside 50. Thompson, the quick repellent. Swanbury now onto Murata. And it's intercepted. It's almost kick to kick between the 50s at the moment. Just the 2 shots on goal, both to Rostrevor Old Collegians. And for a team with the breeze, Glenunga not doing enough attacking at the sec. This is Tom Butterworth. Had it, lost it, holding the ball. Rocks will play on. Kick to a reasonably open forward line. Finn Wakeland took 2 attempts, but he kept his feet. And he'll take the shot. Of course, we will have the 3-2-1 for the High Five E-Bikes Player of the Year. And post-game, we'll distribute some Archie's footwear and a voucher to the Gully Hotel. Regardless of whether it's Rocks or Glenunga that win, you think might be more useful for Rocks, but I'm sure for a hotel fee they'll take it. Wakeland, with challenging conditions, has delivered, and that's his 3rd, the first one to 3, and that's now 7 goals. Yep, 7 goals without reply. And it's that big one to the left of screen. The margin's out to 21 points. 8.5 minutes gone. Kieran Oketsu scoreboard, Rostrevor Old Collegians 9-7-61. Glenunga, that was 6-1 at quarter time, a 6-2-38. 23 points. High ball from Glenunga that's been marked. Now this is their chance. I think that's Wonky. I'll confirm it in a sec. It is Nick Wonky in game 1-0-0 for the Rams. He and Tom Butterworth got a lovely little banner to come through when they ran out this afternoon to get a goal in his century game. That's a huge kick.
That's a great kick.
That sailed through, I mean, they're not the tallest goalposts in the land, but that went through goalpost high. The kick was outside 50. That breaks the 7-goal streak by Rostrevor. To say that Glenunga needed that is a massive understatement. So, Nick Wonky has had a few clubs that he's played with. The Imperials, that's the River Murray version of Imperials. Payneham, Norwood Union and Walkerville. 11 goals for the season, 10-minute mark, and gee, Glenunga needed that. Bit of sunshine in the middle now for them and the game. Pridham was taken high, and as Rocks are dashing off, they better return the ball pretty quickly. He's in the middle, Charlie Pridham. Heads out towards the boombox. Butterworth for Rocks couldn't take the mark. Glenunga still have some possession on it. They're not much looking up with the kick around the body. I think that was Bennett with the kick. So we go to the outer side, where it's picked up by Swanbury. He's got a little bit of space. It doesn't look like much from here, but was enough to move downfield. Hey, yep. Very good. Oh, he hits Glenunga ball on the eastern wing, the Hills wing, the Portrush Road wing, Hills wing. Anyway, on the other side, a fair way from us. The Matisse's hand pass was fumbled. Rocks keep possession. Wharton finds a target further downfield. It's going to come back because it's Rocks' ball, but it's got to come back. That seems a little bit unfair. Someone not on their mark, I guess. Gives Glenunga a chance to reset, and that's what happens. Oh, the B-grade bunch love that. You can hear him from here. Hot footy. Not too far. Glenunga looking for 2 in a row. They'll need a few more than that to get back in the game. So we're just having the ball played in this sort of quarter of the ground at the moment. Rocks clear and then Glenunga go again. Which they're trying to do right now. Spills out of bounds. Not the most enthralling, but Rocks have got themselves into a match-winning position if they can maintain this for another 10 to 15 minutes. Glenunga are threatening but not being able to do any damage. Marini with the high kick, looking in the Davis direction. Barry Crocker over bounce, has a chance for Wangi. He's kicked 2 in about 4 minutes. The Rams have gone back to back and are inching their way back to this ball game. The margin is back to, I think, 11 points. Yes. Kieran Yokitsu's scoreboard has Glenunga 8-2-50, Rostrevor 9-7-61. 13 minutes gone. Should be nearing three-quarter time in the other matches, and go and do a score update for you in a few minutes. Back in the middle. Lovely effort by Bo Baldwin to get the ball and clear it. There's a free downfield that will go the way of McCormick, who's claiming it. He kicked the opening goal of the first quarter, the opening behind of the third. That was from a very tough shot. This is much more gettable and would be a quick reply by the visitors. Samuel Brooks is ready to return to the field of play. But all eyes right now on Tom McCormick. Fair run up. Happy to use up as much clock as he can. From about 45. Never in doubt. McCormick has 2 to add to his 4 goals last week and 2 goals the last time they met. That's 19 for the season. And just like that, Rostrevor have responded to that little burst from Glenunga. Margin back out to 17. So this quarter, I think, is pretty even. In fact, Rocks are winning it. 2 goals, 2 straight. Their 15-point lead, 17. It makes sense. And they'll get a bouncing clearance. And a beautiful hand pass off. Unfortunately, the kick by Baldwin went straight to Zach Smith.
Hey, Lee, go work your ass off here.
Glenunga kick it back inboard. This is Tom Butterworth. Caught and that got a reaction. And that was Silvac with the tackle. Kicking board missed the target. Wakeland's lurking. Here comes some runners for Rocks. One of those whose transfers he slung around. He was. Lincoln Bennett with the tackle that was deemed to be a sling. And I reckon in the context of this game, which has gone about 16, 17 minutes. 16 and a half. What the? There you go.
Spot on, Phil.
Spot on. I reckon this is a big moment. The former red leg sprays it. So they're doing much more of the attacking, Rocks, despite the fact It's in the breeze, and they'll go again. Although the Trinsky lost control of it, and I think that'll be a touch out of bound. Won't be last possession. I reckon Glenunga dodged a bullet with that transfer miss. Margin. And even 3 goals, and Rocks coming home with what there is of the breeze. West, well, he didn't get the hit out, he got the kick. West only as far as Murata. His kick is up. If it goes too far, it'll be out on the full, but touched. Is the call. So Rostrevor are in the middle of their second game playing the bottom 4 clubs. They took it out on Payneham last week. They've got Broadview and Prince Alfred, the bottom 2, coming up. Now, if you're playing all the bottom teams at one time, that means you've got to play the top teams at the other time, and they will finish with their last 5 games against the top 5 clubs. So they really want this win, entrench themselves in the finals for those challenging games to come. Is West again, the kick this time stays in play. Hand pass out of bounds, that's going to be last disposal, I would have thought. It is. Very alert Glenunga bench, ensuring that was interpreted correctly. Pridham trying to run onto it. Now it's Ethan Smith. He can't quite get in. This pressure from Rocks has been excellent. Dawson, hand pass out, inboard, transfer.
Hey, Zach, you're with him.
Long click. Again, good hands. Lim tries to centre it. It ends up going backwards. But to Murata, so it kind of worked. Butterworth right down the guts to a lead of Dawson, who couldn't take, was not happy he wasn't paid the mark, took it out on his opponent and got the free. Too far out to score. To the scoreboard pocket, to the lead, an easy mark. That's McCormick again. He is proving quite the target up forward. This is a massive effort from Rocks into the breeze. Margin is a straight 3 goals. Well, technically it's 2 goals, 6. McCormick in now from 45. He's got 3. Joins Finn Wakeland with the 3-goal club. And Rock's able to do what Glenunga were not able to do in the second quarter, and that's kick some goals to the northern end. They've kicked 3 goals, 3. Glenunga just 2, both to Wonky in the space of, 4 minutes? Other than that, you'd have to say this quarter all belongs to the visitors, and they are really setting themselves up for their 7th win of 2025. In the time on of the third quarter, Glenunga, probably about 5 or 6 more minutes of the breeze. They will get the clearance. Spills out the back. Stepic was waiting for it. They work it well to Wharton. And despite a little bit of attention, he spills out of bounds.
Box up! Go up! Push Tramp back!
Throw in.
Yes, no one out! Tramp!
Butterworth the tap. Beautifully done to a Rocks teammate, who was well hidden behind about 5 Glenunga players for me to work out who it was. Push in the back. This is Boxer Waste no time. To the top of the goal square we go. Who's front and square? Well, it was Tomo. He was tackled straight away by Jake Silvac, who's playing his first game, as mentioned, since the 2023 finals, and trying to show he belongs back as a regular at A-grade level. Glenunga trying to clear it out. They'll be caught. Yeah, some dispute on the tackle. It had to be a free one way or the other, in the back or holding the ball, and didn't look to be too blatant holding the ball. Well, holding the ball was my first thought. Put it this way, and I don't have a dog in this fight. So James Wharton, I think, has it. He does. What's more, he doesn't have the ball. He has a goal. That might well be the sealer of the one that seals the deal. Margin is 5 goals. And can I just remind you that Glenunga led by 23 points at quarter time? That's amazing. And since then, Rocks have kicked. They've kicked 10 of the last 12 goals. And this third quarter, ultra impressive. Until then, you could make an argument that it all depends who's got the breeze. No such argument in this quarter. Glenunga inside 50 count, very low. West has it, but Butterworth has him. Do promise some around the ground scores. Let me look them up for you in a sec. Warden, well, he kicked the miraculous goal. Thought he could do anything. In that case, was run down. Looking in the Davis direction, a few jumping around him. Thompson took it, was tackled. All right. So at Payneham Oval, the Falcons 7-3-45, Salisbury 13-10-88. 43-point lead to the Hawks. Davis with the clearance. Tafay across the face. And scores are behind. Port District leading Sacred Heart by an even 10 goals. Country Living Homes Reserve at Largs. Port District 11-10-76. Sacred Heart 2-4-16. Golden Grove and St Peter's was a close one. It's still relatively close, 21 points. Golden Grove 10-8-68. Spock 6-11, so 18 scoring shots to 17. We've got a Glenunga mark.
Deck, just quick breather. Deck, just come for a breather quickly.
And this looks like Jordan Opperman. Who has it? It is. Is it Tom Butterworth? I'll have to. No, it's a 3. Jordan Opperman it is. So Golden Grove, 21 points, not home yet over St Peter's. Especially if Spock have the wind in the final quarter at Harper's Field. Opperman's kick is away, so Glenunga getting a couple of shots, all minors at the moment. And the last game around the grounds, Prince Alfred and Broadview, neither of them know the words to their club song anymore because it's been so long since they've won a game. Prince Alfred had better go and find the tune because they are leading by 54 points, aka 9 goals. 15-7-97, Broadview looking at 0-11. They are 6-7-43. So all those games should be third quarter, if not early stages, final quarter. Rostrevor through the middle. Running interference was Tom Butterworth. Couldn't get possession, but still fighting for it, creates the stoppage. 28 points in favour of the visitors. You have the breeze to come home with. Doesn't seem to be as strong, or maybe it's just the way Rocks are playing. Ethan Smith. Right down the middle. Beautiful crumb. Just couldn't. They're having a chat about it. Pretty sure it's a behind. All the players think it's a behind. It was touched, okay. It was Marini who got the initial touch. Don't think he got the shot on goal though. Redmond collect. Oh, that was a bit late. but okay, all fair. West kick, not too far, too high. Glenunga ball to Redmond, who's off to the top of the screen. Just needs a soccer. 4 behinds in succession, Glenunga. Gee, if they kick 4 goals, we might have a match. But there was 4 behinds, which for mine leaves the Kieran Hyoketsu scoreboard. The home team 8-6. That would be 54. Rocks 12-8, 80. 26 points the margin. And with Rostrevor coming home with the breeze, they're in prime position to secure win number 7. We'll take a quick break. Phil Lewis will join us possibly for the last time, because we do have to get out there and do some prizes at the end, to give us some 3/4 time stats. But you're watching the Adelaide Footy League thanks to Filming Footy. Welcome back to Webb Oval. The cloud is cleared, the skies are blue, and if you're a Rostrevor Old Collegians fan, you're pretty happy, because going to the breeze, you won that quarter, 4 goals 3 to 2 goals 4, and took your 15-point halftime lead and made it 26. Joining me, Phil Hurden, to give us some stats assistance. Been much appreciated. Phil Lewis. Phil, what did you find out in that third quarter?
Well, statistically, that was a very strange quarter, because you would have thought that Rostrevor would continue, not so much dominating, but being ahead on it. But actually, the East Side 50s were almost even, 13-12 Rostrevor's way. I think a lot of those late attacks by Glenunga, which only resulted in behinds, probably contributed to that, though. Free kicks is interesting, 11-5 Rostrevor that quarter alone, which was actually a higher rate of free kicks. And there were some dubious ones, in my opinion. But anyway, that's the way the ball crumbles with those. And the centre breaks really hasn't changed, although I think Glenunga have lost their early dominance on that, and that's probably telling as well. And it's interesting too, 6 goals kicked at the northern end of the ground, none by Glenunga. So they're going to have to reverse that this quarter.
So we've still got the close one just looking around the grounds. Golden Grove leading Spock by 27 now. All the rest one-way traffic. You can already bank premiership points for Salisbury North, Port District, Prince Alfred, and Golden Grove 27 points up, probably halfway through the final quarter, looking the goods there. What about here? Well, you could say Rostrevor 1 goal away, but I think they've almost got enough at this point. But we'll find out as the game progresses. Certainly Glenunga have early use of the ball. Smith, Temmie, into the scoreboard pocket, overcooked Pridham. Ends up in the hands of Mead. He'll go down that outer wing. Fumble. Chance for Wakeland to make position. Spills out of bounds. Plenty of boundary umpires there giving support. Oh my! I didn't think deliberate existed. And 25. Surprised there's not a riot in that pocket at the moment. What was that for? Feigned interference. Okay, well. So we have no hide here, so we are a little bit limited. Looks like it might be... Oh, and he's dobbed it. Everyone comes around. I got to pick up the number. Turn around, son, so we can give you a mention. No, I won't turn this way. I'll turn that way. And that was the inclusion, the late inclusion. Jake Silvac, 2 goals. Back in the league side. Last game, 2023 finals, as mentioned. Well, I reckon that's all she wrote. That is all she wrote here at Webb Oval. We can start doing all the computations that the only side in the bottom 5 to win today is Prince Alfred. The only side to lose in the top 5 is going to be Sacred Heart. So I reckon... Actually, sorry, I've got to correct myself because Salisbury North won, so there's got to be 2 losers. I'll find that out in a sec. Glenunga, need a quick one. And then a few more to Pridham. He's run down. As is Kemp.
Yes.
And it's going to be a free kick to Glenunga. Bit of a melee occurring. But broken up. Well, it was a 3-person disagreement. Smith and Pridham versus Mead. Okay. Gonna be Tom Butterworth to have the shot from the city pocket. Is this the first goal? It's not even going to score. First goal for Glenunga to that end. Nope, not yet. Wakeland came in from a long way back to force the spoil. Glenunga, some decent hands. Oh, but the kick by Brooks is straight to Kemp, who gets it to Lim, running through the middle to Tramfer. One more to finish, back to Kemp. Now for 2 and a minute, or 2 and a quarter to Silvac. He's proving to be the finisher. He joins with 3 goals and might be a late entrant for the Archies and Gully's hotel voucher. What a return.
4 minutes.
And in 4 minutes, Rocks have kicked 2 and put this beyond any reasonable doubt. I'll have to start writing up a match report soon. But anyway, next week, Rocks and Prince Alfred. Looks like Prince Alfred coming off their first win. In fact, it was interesting. Last time they met, those two sides. Prince Alfred looked home, led by just under 5 goals at the start of the final quarter. Rocks stormed home to win in the final minute, and then Prince Alfred didn't win for another 9 games. They'll meet at Rocks next week. A big one for Princes to try and avoid, well, they're all big for Princes to avoid a shock relegation. As in the battle for the Archies, McCormick's taken the grab in the Hill or the Harndorf pocket, southeastern pocket. Wonder if they'll crank up the volume a bit.
Brooksy!
He knows that a 4-goal effort is going to be hard to ignore when it comes to some votes and some prizes. Not much word from the southeast pocket. Letting the music do the talking. McCormick lets his boot do the talking. He's got 4. And he might just have something to put on his feet a little bit later. It's turning into a rout at the moment. 3 goals with the breeze. In fact, Glenunga are very close to cracking the ton. 15-8, 98. 8-6, so in the 6 minutes gone. Okay. 4:15. So we're looking at finish at about 4:45. I'm glad it's blue sky and not overcast, so whatever sun there is we're going to get. But it is starting to set. It's probably setting on Glenunga's season as well, to throw an adage in there. With this loss, Glenunga will drop to 4-7. With, what is that, 7 games to go. You need to win 9 to have a shot. You've got to win 5 of your last 7. That's going to be tough when you've got travelling to Salisbury North next week. I'll be there for that. First game I've commentated at the Hawke Park. Looking forward to that. St Peter's and Sacred Heart and Port District. So they're in their busy period of playing the top 5 teams. But if you're trying to get into the 5, they're the ones you've got to beat to make up ground. And they haven't been able to do that today. So Golden Grove, St Peter. So Golden Grove, Salisbury North and Roxall winning. That will continue that logjam for 5th. Again, Wakeland breaks the pack, spills to Wharton. He wants to join the party as well. He's got 2. It's an absolutely dominant forward line by Rox. Now, they have cracked the ton. Just looking at Rox's highest score for the year. It actually came last week. Their biggest win and highest score was last week at home against Payneham. They kicked 19-12, 126 and won by 69 points. And the margin is 50 and they're up to 104. So at this rate, might challenge that as the afternoon progresses. Alas for Glenunga, they haven't kicked their lowest score, but their biggest loss of the season was 38 points to Sacred Heart Old Collegians, and they're on track for that right now. And Zoni, well, I thought he took the ball and just decided to take on the defender, but given he was tackled instantly, benefit of the doubt given. That's a high one. Holding on as the free will go the way of Glenunga. Opperman. In the end, strong lead by Demetrius. Rocks can play better holding off if they want, but just amazed. The second quarter wasn't a huge surprise. The second half really was. Thompson's kick around the body. No rain forthcoming. Here's a Glenunga mark, true centre wing. Come from behind by Swanbury, getting a little bit of a cheer from his teammates and supporters out there. Well, certainly touched, will be a throw-in.
Ooh, hang on.
Unless there's something behind the note. We got a free
hang on,
kick.
he's gone for the book.
Oh, jeez.
Yellow card.
Yellow card is out, which means someone's coming from a break. He's sort of smiling about it, which realise I did something a little bit silly. That usually comes with not just the free kick, but also... Does it come with a 50-metre penalty? No, it doesn't.
Oh, it was just a send-off, it wasn't a report.
Okay. So, not exactly the way you'd want to celebrate your 100th game for Nick Wanke, but 2 goals in the third quarter might be the memory you'll like to cherish. Back when Glenunga had half a chance. Of course, you don't lose a player. You don't have one less on the field. You do lose that player ability to play for, I think it's 10 minutes from memory. So not quite early shower territory. Glenunga get the clears, maybe that's the thing that'll spark him up. In the Davis direction, like usual, holds his ground well. Goes and gets the footy, trying to get rid of it. He needs another hand. Tasiru's shot is heading for the barbecue. And you can't score if you end up at the barbecue. So I think it's fair to say, how long have we gone, Phil?
Oh, sorry.
How long have we gone? 11 minutes. I have a feeling this is going to be a fairly long, drawn-out final quarter.
Yes.
The ground is bathed in shadow. That's not cloud, that's just the setting sun. Wakeland has it. Just hope. That's beautifully done. That was Lim who got it open to Kemp. Kemp right in front of us. You're filming footy. Chris Sammy on camera. Phil Hurden on commentary. And Phil Lewis helping with some stats. We've got a little bit of a melee in front of us. We need a second camera here for this. It's getting a little silly. Not sure what's been picked up on the camera, but it will end up being a Glenunga free at the point of altercation.
Not a bad left foot there by the build-up by too. And 25 metres.
And a little lucky down. I think all you can do at this stage, it's a little bit like partying after midnight. All you can do at this stage is get in trouble. So, Jack Scott, does he give himself a chance here? Hasn't kicked a goal all season, 1 goal last year. Davis with the fly. And the crumb. Don't know how you managed to do that in one motion. Transfer the clearing kick. There's no one Rox's side. I keep on thinking anti-density rule, but it doesn't exist in this comp. Soccer into space gives to Sierra. They're often sprinting. You'll get there with plenty of time to pick up. A bit like a punt returner, just to avoid the rush. And now, it's calmed down a little bit, which it probably needed to. I think what I used to do when I did PA in American football, and things got a little bit tense, I found was it Bobby McFadden who had the "Don't Worry, Be Happy," and put that on. Put that on the PA system.
You wouldn't have been popular with me. I hate that song.
Well, you just got to choose your moment. But Davis has it. He's in no hurry to do anything. Happy to wind down a little bit of clock. Should almost be full time around some other games. I will check shortly and see if we have any finals. No, they're all still live. No incredible comebacks from anyone. All margins. Closest game is 38 points. That's Golden Grove over St. Peter's. So we'll try and give you a bit of an idea of the ladder when we get some of those finals. Abe Davis goes back. And is that Glenunga's first goal to the clubhouse?
It is.
It is. Davis has 3. He's got 20 for the season to lead all the Rams. And, you know, well, I guess Glenunga will be happy on their home deck. They did kick 1 to the clubroom end, given that's where quite a few of their fans are based. It's an interesting ground. There's not a lot of room behind the goals, so the crowd is pretty well spread. And you take all the reserve players and put them in Siberia down the southeast pocket, and the visiting fans can sit in the southwest pocket near their benches. It does spread out rather nicely. Nothing of height anywhere. We're commentating you from ground level today, which is a different experience. Tragakis onto Carlo Vasidis. Glenunga would love, well, it's all a bit academic. You could say percentage, but 4 and 7, well, I can't really see Glenunga recovering, especially with every team in the 5 with such a good record. Desira with a monster kick. Oh, what a grime! Finn Wakeland, flying machine. Just stands up nonchalantly. Well, we have got a mark of the year, thanks to Bianca Field. I reckon that one's going to be right up there. Sammy, take note. I'm going to send that one into the judges.
Boxer! Boxer! Trick up, trick up! Oh, mate, you had that.
Injured Glenunga players. As I said, at this stage of the game, all we're going to have is some injuries. We had one great highlight and almost the second one. That was Jet Boxer, who went up for it but couldn't pull it in.
Take it out, boy, take it out! Boys, protect Westy!
Yes. Coming off Tragakis, saying he can't hear much in one of his ears. That's not a great thing to happen to you. Hopefully just a bit of blockage that will clear itself in due course. Maybe we won't have to hear the coach at the end of the game. Could be a benefit. So, shouldn't laugh about such things. We do have a couple of finals. Port District look like they're going to be the sole team on top of the ladder at the end of round 11. They took care of Sacred Heart Old Collegians easily at home at County Living Homes Reserve, 13-10-88. Sacred Heart were goalless for quite a while, ended up at 3-7-25. The other final, Prince Alfred have broken their run of outs. And looks like they're going to avoid the wooden spoon and have a chance of avoiding relegation. Prince Alfred, 18-9, 117. Broadview, 8-9, 57. A 10-goal win to the Redmen that I reckon is going to consign Broadview not just to the wooden spoon, not just to relegation, but probably to a winless 2025 season. Meanwhile, back to this game. Put in front of the path of Kemp to run onto it. Glenunga are able to get back in some numbers.
Oh, well done.
As we head towards the latter stage of this game, do want to thank our sponsors. Big thump from behind. Smith hasn't given up trying all day. And we're going to, call that a mark. Okie dokie. It's time for some consolation prizes, I think. So our sponsors include Farmers Leap Winery with the Coach of the Week. Gold of the Week, thanks to Born to Build. Mark of the Week, brought to you by Moonlight Suites at Kimberley Resorts. Finn Wakeland might just have a nomination there. Also Archie's, custom by ORTC. High Five e-bikes. Dartfish, programs to fit. Classic Clashes, filming footy. Kimberley Resorts and Jag Meatworks. And we've got ourselves a goal. And you can tell by the lack of emotion around that. I think that was Opperman with the kick.
Yes, it was.
His first for the day. That is the minimal celebration you will see when kicking a goal. Hang on. Yep, hang on just a minute. Offerman's first. The goal scorers this afternoon for Rocks. Well, we've got a few threes. We've got 4 to McCormick, 3 to Wakeland, 3 to Silvac, 2 to Wharton, singles to Lanzoni, Butcher, Best and Boxer, which is 8 individual goal scorers. For Glenunga, 3 to Davis, 2 to Ethan Smith, singles to Pridham, Desira, Opperman. Also mentioned Nick Wunke, who's I think he's ready to come back on after his yellow card. He's kicked 2 in his 100th game. So for Glius, welcome back as we head to the final stage of this one. We had much of a post game. Is that a dob and a goal? I must admit I can't even tell he's kicked that because Wunke was right in the middle of the way of that.
I think it might have been the bloke with the long sleeves.
Now, if that's the case, that's Marini. Without a better decision, I'll go with Marini. His first goal of the day. 9th of the season after kicking 3 last week. So Glenunga are getting a bit of a run on here. Rox's percentage booster has sort of gone out the window. It is 28 points. At least the scoreboard looking a little bit respectable for the Rams. And yes, they have kicked some goals to that northern end today.
The last 3 on the trot, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Yeah. So interestingly, unless I've got this wrong, 6 to 8, no points kicked in this quarter. Rocks have kicked 4 goals without a miss. Glenunga have kicked 3 goals without a miss.
You are absolutely correct on that.
Any stats of note as this game draws to its inevitable conclusion, Phil?
Well, just as Rostrevor add to their tally inside 50s, that's 11 to 8 Glenunga's way this quarter.
Okay, he's got the mark here. Is this Boxer, possibly? And again, wasting no time.
Yeah, you were right.
Slowly taking me to the end of the final quarter to work out who's who without a number. Straight in front. So it's been a pretty accurate day when you think about 27 goals, 14 as a total. Ooh. The goal umpire went for a jog, but that is a goal. Jeff Boxer's second. Rostrevor's 17th. They won't get their highest score. They won't get their biggest win But it will be the second week in a row that they've firstly had a win and second kicked over 100. Their away record goes to 4-2, their home record 3-2. So just having a look at the ladder.
Point of trivia while you're doing that, Phil, as the ball up in the centre. There was a mark taken in Melbourne last weekend by someone in the exact same Guernsey.
Yes, that was...
I don't think Wakeland's was as good as Damien Todd's there in Melbourne, but they were wearing the same Guernsey. So
they were. I think Wakeland landed a lot better. I think it was...
Yes, he did. I agree with that.
I think it was the chaos and carnage of that mark that really impressed everybody, that he almost knocked himself out in the process, as Glenunga get another one, courtesy of Marini. That's 2 for him in the final quarter. So I'm going to give this to Thomas McCormick, the Sandals and the Gullies, due to his 4-goal effort today.
Yeah, it's a tough call.
Yeah. So just to give you what the ladder's going to look like, Port District will be on top with a 9-2 record. St Peter's and Sacred Heart battling for second, 8-3. A game back to the charging Golden Grove, who are really rising up the ladder after a slow start. They're the dark horse, 7-4. Rocks, can't rule them out. They go to 7-4. And Salisbury North out of the 5 with a 6-5 record. And Salisbury North play Glenunga next week. A 2-game gap between the Hawks and the Rams will drop to 4-7. A game further back to Payneham and Prince Alfred. So the Rams more in relegation trouble than finals hopes now. Prince Alfred with their win may have just jumped Payneham on percentage. And Broadview, 0 and 11 are Div 2 bound. As it gets darker here at Webb Oval, Faye was off and running and was brought down. As players are starting to feel it, Murata a little slow to get up.
Siren will be pretty close, 26 3/4 minutes gone.
Okay. Well, I've got my Archies ready to go. Phil, just want to say thank you for providing some company on a day where calling solo is a little different.
Very much appreciated.
Thanks also to Sammy on camera, which is one of the more challenging places. Almost need to have a little bit of a mobile thing to work around all those interchanges. Thankfully we don't have a coach down here anymore that likes to wander up and down the sidelines.
Yes, I was just thinking
time. We won't name any names. It was entertaining. And that's what we're here for. It's almost like, if we ended it now, would everybody vote yes? And I have a feeling most would. We're starting to feel it's been a pretty physical contest, and yeah, no one is in any hurry to do anything, umpires included.
Well, this is a small ground.
Yeah. You're going to feel it by the end of it.
Yeah.
All right. Another good rundown. I mean, we've seen so many holding the balls today. Not on that occasion. Butterworth's kick. Little soccer by Opperman into space. Who wants it? Transfer does. Rocks, one last chance. They get one last goal. They'll go right up the middle. Here's Butcher with the lead and the grab. Nicely done. It looks like Lanzoni. There is a Glenunga player still on his back being attended to by...
Physio's got the spray out.
Yeah. Something's causing pain. It is Lanzoni with the ball. He's kicked one. Rocks have had 5 multiple goal scorers today. And that injured player is Ethan Smith, who went in for one contested play too many. Lanzoni's kick is, well, I'll tell you, the set shot kicking for goal today has been a delight. Lanzoni's kicked 2. And yeah, Rocks get their 18th, 18-8, 122.
8-8's 116 by me.
It is, okay, it is. So, it's my bad. They did the... Okay.
Did the points first.
They did.
Normally a scoreboard attendant does the goal or behind
so
first.
they are 8 points short of their season high just think they're going to fall a couple of minutes short.
10 straight goals between the two sides this quarter.
Yeah, as I said, I hark back to a game I saw earlier in the season, which Rocks played in. It wasn't them, but their opponents kicked 3 goals, 21. So
Talk about two extremes.
just getting 50-50 is a highlight. This has been pretty good. A 30-goal afternoon, 30 goals, 14. For myself, who comes into here as a neutral, has been entertaining, although pretty much as a contest decided start of the final quarter. You sort of knew midway through the third the way it was looking.
Particularly if the breeze had any influence, and there it is.
And there is your game. So, the final score here from Weber Oval. So I'm just going to write this one down on the Kieran Hyoketsu scoreboard. Glenunga, well, they kicked 12 goals, 678. That'll win you some games of football in the Beta Excavation Division 1, but Rocks kicked 18 goals, 8, 1-1-6 to win by 38 points. Phil, thank you so much. Sammy, thank you so much. Thanks to our sponsors, the whole Filming Footy family. The weekend wraps tomorrow afternoon. Check out all the results and ladders and upcoming games between the post-midweek Adelaide Footy League Facebook page for more information. For the Rams, they travel to Salisbury North. I'll see them and Salisbury North in that game next week. And for Rocks, they head for home at the Chateau next week to host Prince Alfred Old Collegians, who are coming off a win and will feel pretty good about that. Until then, this is Phil Herden saying thanks for watching and good afternoon from Web Oval.